Good morning and welcome to this week's Keeping an Eye on the Geopolitical Ball with me, Jamie Shea, Senior Fellow at Friends of Europe. Today's topic is Russia, but I'm not going to talk about what is at the top of the news today, which is the Russian military buildup with over 120,000 troops and heavy equipment in Crimea, in the Black Sea and on the borders of Ukraine. This is causing a lot of anxiety in NATO because we don't know what Putin is planning with this military buildup. But at the same time, we have seen a number of other things that Russia has been doing to try to intimidate the West, particularly in the form of aggressive intelligence operations carried out by the two Russian military intelligence services, the GRU and the SVR. This week brought the latest example when the Czech Republic expelled 18 Russian diplomats, having accused Russia of being behind an explosion in an ammunition depot back in 2014, which led to the deaths of two Czech citizens. But we've seen a whole series of other incidents over the last couple of years. For instance, the attack in Salisbury in 2018 using the Novichok chemical agent, the assassination of Russian dissident Alexander Litvinenko in London in 2010, where an extremely toxic agent called polonium was used, and which spread across London to hotels and even to Heathrow Airport. We've seen targeted assassinations carried out by Russian intelligence of oligarchs in the UK or of a Chechen opposition leader in a park in Berlin. Aggressive cyber hacks, for instance, against the German Bundestag, attempts to penetrate the systems of the Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Weapons, of the World Anti-Doping Agency. And this past summer, the United States discovered a major Russian hack of over 80 American companies and 13 federal agencies through the SolarWinds software management system. This also goes hand in hand with intelligence gathering, which goes up to a highly aggressive level, particularly in Bulgaria, which has expelled 6 Russian diplomats in response, and attempts to interfere in election campaigns, even to the extent of organizing a coup against Montenegro 5 years ago and interfering in elections in North Macedonia and in Moldova. Now, intelligence agencies are meant to gather intelligence, which we may not like, but at least it's standard practice, and we do the same. It also has to be said that some of these Russian operations have not exactly been highly professional. The aliases of the people involved have been exposed very quickly. They've been named and shamed, and often some of the techniques have been rather ham-fisted and quickly exposed. But President Macron is right, in my view, this week to have said that a red line has been crossed in terms of the danger and the irresponsibility, even the recklessness, for example, using chemical weapons, that some of these operations have revealed. Now, Putin has condoned these operations because, in his view, they are clearly potentially high gain in their attempts to intimidate Western countries or his own opposition leaders with the permanent threat of assassination, and low risk in the sanctions that he is expecting. And indeed, up to now, some of our responses have been rather modest. Expulsions of Russian diplomats, yes, but also asset freezes and travel bans on a limited number of Russian civil servants. But if they don't have bank accounts in London or desires to go on holiday in Paris, that isn't really going to hit them very hard. But just last week, the Biden administration came up with a new set of a new package of sanctions, which this time really does intend to get Putin's attention. For example, economic sanctions, denying Russia access to the international sovereign debt market in either ruble or non-ruble denominated currencies, making it more difficult for Russian banks to access American financial markets, potentially threatening Russia with exclusion from the international SWIFT banking clearance system, perhaps also prevailing upon Germany to cancel the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline project, which would deprive Russia of major gas revenues. The German Green Party, which is doing very well at the moment in the polls, opposes precisely that Nord Stream 2 project. These economic sanctions, rather than sanctions against lone individuals, will obviously make Russia think again. The other thing that we can do is to attribute more systematically the names of those who are behind these attacks and introduce criminal prosecution proceedings against them. We need to show solidarity. For example, the Czechs this week have asked for NATO and the EU to collectively expel Russian diplomats, so that an attack on one is an attack on all. This was precisely what happened after Russia used the Novichok agent in Salisbury, where NATO, the EU, the United States, Canada, and a number of countries collectively expelled Russian diplomats. The other thing that the United States has been contemplating is countermeasures. For example, proclaiming that at a time of its choosing, the United States would be prepared to conduct retaliatory cyber attacks against Russian interests. Or this week, the Biden administration imposed sanctions on 8 companies in Belarus, pointing out that Russia's allies and cronies could also come under the purview of this type of sanctions. What we need to do is to be consistent in our response. We need also to show precisely that solidarity which the Czechs are calling for. It doesn't mean to say that we can't continue to talk to Russia. Diplomacy is not a reward for good behavior. Otherwise, it would never really happen. But we have to make it clear that the Kremlin will pay a price when intelligence services go beyond what they're meant to do, which is to gather intelligence and start using chemical weapons or to shoot guns in peaceful cities in Salisbury or Berlin. Thank you very much for listening and watching today. Look forward to engaging with you next week. Bye for now.